right. So it's January. We have two horror films on our belt. And I hear that, I only saw, the second one, which you're going to talk about, that'll be 28 years later, The Bone Temple, right? But you saw Primate, right? So
Right.
before, I want you to take the lead with that one, right? But yeah, I saw the trailer and I just could not buy into it at all, right? It's not so much that it's a killer monkey, though. Is the humans that are involved. Like, I just watching them like, wow, like all of this, cannon fodder. All they just like deserve to die because all they just look like all they just deserve to die. All they just look like utter douchebags, right? But then again, I don't know, I have not seen the show, right? But I've been hearing some like favorable things about the show. Like, okay, like I thought people would shit all over it and say, hey, this, January horrors, this supposed to be bad, right? Because literally last January, we had Wolfman, which you had the displeasure of seeing. It's kind of interesting that you didn't put that in your dishonorable mention, but then again, I know you kind of put that out of your mind anyway, right? But yeah, in addition to Bone Temple, Primate is also showing that, hey, January could be the year where we get some really decent horror films, right? But yeah, Ricardo, take it away. Yeah, why you went to see Primate though? I'm actually
No,
surprised you went to see
I had to
this.
pick. I had to pick one or the other. Oh, yeah, no, I was going to see Boon Temple anyway, but I had to pick another. I had to kill some time. So I was like, I had to pick on my list, and I was like, all right, whoever come on. I said, I'm not going to see Ting. So it was either this or well, I watch it already, I watch Avatar already. I ain't going to see Anaconda. That's bullshit. So I tell myself I had to pick one or the other. I was like, all right, I'm gonna pick Primate and give that a shot. I hear that okay thing. Oh, I saw Zootopia already. And then it was either this or Greenland 2. I had to kill some time. So it's like, all right, one or the other. So like, whatever. And I ended up just picking off one or the other. So Boon Temple and then, Primate. So I ended up just picking Primate. Like, I hate those, all right.
Yeah,
So yeah, I went to see that.
yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, take it away, Primate. What was
Yeah,
it
yeah.
about and how was it?
This is right. So basically, well, I suppose if I tell you what really going on, it'll kind of spoil it. But I suppose I could spoil that part of it.
No, 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 no. Be
Yeah.
vague, please. It's a horror. I want to go in as blind
No,
as
well,
possible. I just saw the
yeah, yeah. All right.
trailer.
So
I was not
I'll say
impressed, but I want to go
the
in
answer
as blind
behind
as
everything is
possible.
pretty much the answer behind. Okay, so all I'll say is that the answer behind everything is pretty much entirely naturalistic for the most part,
Okay,
except it
okay.
kind of it just kind of misapprehends or misinterprets a certain thing that's happening. It's like, oh, that's not how that works, but whatever. But you have to do it for plot reasons. And yeah, so it's just basically that terrifying part of Nope. The movie. That's what it is. It's just monkey, well, chimps and monkeys. But
You know what's so
chimps.
funny? I actually thought of Nope when I saw that trailer. Like,
Yeah,
hey,
pretty
what
much.
if
Yeah,
that
pretty much.
monkey actually like was in another
Right.
context and went
Well, the whole movie, right?
wild,
Pretty
right?
much. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Pretty much. So it's just a bunch of kids. They're growing up in a cabin. They have to thing, and then they realize that a chimp with them, and chimp not nice, and chimp gonna f you up, and that is exactly what happened. Chimp f you up, and we get some pretty gnarly kills in this. It's just main characters have to bounce around, just justifying why, the chimp can't do this or can't do that, and they start to figure out certain weaknesses involved in a pool, right? So that's as close as spoilers I'll get to you with that. But that's about it. It's just chimp movie. Something wrong with that chimp, and something very wrong with the chimp, and something that you don't want to. That even if you survive, it's gonna be a problem for you going forward. But yeah, that chimp is a menace, and it's just a solid monkey movie. There's nothing to really talk about other than really solid kills. It's the only thing that I felt held it back a little bit. Other than the this is not how that works science part, which is whatever, it's fine. But the only problem is that clearly it looking like a guy in a costume at times. Like I find they could have edited around that or cut that or it feel like a little too cheap and a little too amateurish for me to enjoy it. It's like I felt the lighting could have worked or make do some CG stuff or something like that. Or even if you're desperate, do some AI stuff to just make it not look like a guy in a costume. But I can see it being like a kind of cult thing, like just that is part of the charm of the silliness of the film anyway. So it's fine. Uh, but that's about it. But it has some genuinely like oh shit moments in this, and it have one kill in particular in that bed. It's like jeez, boy, that was brutal. Uh, but that's about it. It's just monkey movie. They had to run from the monkey. No fuck with the monkey. Monkey gonna fuck you up. Chimps are terrifying animals, by the way. It's like easily one of the most dangerous animals that people totally underestimate. In terms of physical strength, plenty people think they can fight a chimp. They can't. Like a chimp will tear your ass apart. But yeah, so they get into that, and then they make it work. It's kind of like it's Cujo but chimp. That is pretty much the entire thing. If you see Cujo, you saw this. Like similar ideas, similar conceits. Again, that might be a slight spoiler. That is about it. Yeah, Monkey movie was fine. Solid. Rating, 7 out of 10. Had fun.
Okay. Okay.
Again, I wish it was. I wish they really like the whole guy in a chimp costume. They could have covered that a little better, make that better effort. Yeah, in fact, more I think about it, about 6 out of 10. It's not that great, but it still was like good, some solid kills and they make it work. Yeah, it was fine. Moving on. Yeah, no different from like Cocaine Bear a few years back.
Oh God, yes,
Couple years back
which
or
did come out in no, it came out in February actually of that year. Never
Right.
forget, it came out in February.
Or even something like Megan, the earlier horror movie is fine.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
I don't think it's like that bad, or it's like, oh, there's a complete garbage movie or anything like that. It's just it have a couple of solid shots and couple of solid moments and thing, but I find it's just the typical young people not making the smartest decisions, but they make some smart decisions maybe coming on to the end, and they just have excuses for kills in a row, and that is about it. Moving on. Again, I picked this over Greenland too, so I suppose I picked the right call. I don't know.
I think it did because not that many people talking about Greenland too anyway, right?
Right.
But
The
yeah,
thing is, I remember enjoying the first Greenland.
yeah,
How it was.
we
I
talked
remember
about
liking
it on the
Yeah, I think I
podcast.
thought it was okay. And then, well, especially the actual geopolitical news itself, that this movie might be more relevant than we think. Maybe I'm not sure. Like, where's our metaphor for? Whatever. Yeah. So I go watch it. Yeah, but Primate was fine. In and out.
Yeah, well, I would say compared to this film that we're going to talk about, did anybody really ask for a Greenland sequel? I didn't.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
I mean, I know Jared Butler need money, no problem, but Greenland too, bro.
No, I don't know, because I just think, again, I don't remember the Greenland one being bad. So like, all right, we get a sequel, cool. Like that's it. Like but I didn't think it would get a theater run. That's the main thing. I thought it would go straight to Netflix or whatever. Whatever, moving on.
Yeah, moving on. So yeah, I will do the synopsis for 20 years later, The Bone Temple, right?
Right.
And I will say, right, because the last time when you talked about 20 years later, which was directed by Danny Boyle, right? Him returning to the
Right.
20 Days Later franchise, right? I didn't see it at the time, right? So day before watching this, I watched it for myself, right? And I liked the film. I liked that it was returning to the world of, post-apocalyptic England with all, the rage virus and the zombies, all that kind of stuff, right? What surprised me though was Danny and, Alex Garland, right? Leaning towards occult horror. That caught me by surprise. I was like, oh, that's why it had this kind of like weird, surrealist kind of feel, right? Like characters in the forest and all, it's just like, you're trying to make sense of all this madness going on. And then you have Ray Fiennes' character just being this kind of mad, but in a quiet kind of way, this
Right.
mad doctor,
Yeah.
all that stuff now. And
He's great in this, by the way.
yeah, he is, right? And another
When you go into this, is great.
Yeah. We'll get to Bone Tap a little bit, right? And then for me, what also caught me by surprise, right, was its allusions to medieval times, right? In terms
Right.
of like the story kind of feeling almost like like a, I don't want to say a fairy tale, but more like a medieval quest, like a knight, going on a quest to get something. It sort of felt like that,
Yeah,
right?
at
To
times,
see structure.
at times it felt like Green Knight, right?
Yes, it does. With the surrealist imagery, and then also too with the music as well, and of course, the external shots, just gorgeous cinematography, right? The ending, I do understand why people did not like the ending. It's
Right.
jarring, right? But if the point is now that Bone Temple exists, right? If the point is, oh, this is supposed to be a two-parter because we filmed these
Yeah,
things back to back.
Yeah.
I
Right.
understand, but they could have just done
Right.
that ending smoother.
Yeah, a little,
That's it,
yeah.
just-
It was a little clumsy, but yeah,
Yeah.
It was that was the intention. It's fine.
Right, exactly. If it was meant to throw people off guard, okay, fine, but they could have just do it a lot smoother. That's the thing, right?
And then before we get into that, because something I mentioned earlier, I wanted to mention. No, it's that talk about surviving the MCU, right? Neil DaCosta is really good at this. She
Yes.
directed
Like, listen, like, I have no, like, I'm not gonna go out and say, oh, the Marvels was terrible, right? But I know that
No, she-
the outcome of the Marvels really was not in her favor. That's
Right,
unfortunate. But she was able to bounce back with this, though,
No, but
and I'm glad of that.
Between this and Heather, that came out the other day, which I thought was great.
Oh, she did had
Like,
a okay. I
right,
didn't know.
like
Right.
the real. I mean, talking about throwing somebody on that bus ride. Holy shit, dude! Like, jeez, man, like railway style thing. Because between this, Brian Coogler leaving, well, I could leave because he could come back with Black Panther 3, and then James Gunn. It's like, yeah, talk about surviving the MCU, and then like the people who are supposed to be the big MCU people, yeah, everything they do outside the MCU is kind of trash. The Russos, right? Like, I admit that. Everything the Russos do outside of the MCU is mediocre to trash, right? That's why they kind of coming back to Doomsday because they just feel like a desperate, like, they can't do anything outside that. I don't know. Like, it's kind of weird. I find it's very strange how this played out. Whatever, moving on.
No, that's true though. Now that
Yeah,
I'm thinking, but like, geez, but like, what is going on in the Marvel Studios though? What going on
yeah.
there,
But
right?
study what the Russos do. This is something I've always said. Like, I like the Russos for what they did and whatever it is. But like I admit it, the Russos not talented. I don't think they are. What they learned, what they're good at is just good derivative storytelling. Even our beloved Captain America: The Winter Soldier is just a spy thriller that we see 10,000 times before. It's just we get to see a man with a magic frisbee, do it right. That is it. Like, it's just that. Like, so to me, I find they, like, when I think about it, they're just really good for like a big studio and they fit into that really well. But they're not great filmmakers. Like, there's a difference. God is a good filmmaker. Ryan Cook is a good filmmaker. Russo's not so much. Like, I admit that. Like, everything they do outside of the MCU is kind of bad, though. Like, really bad, too. They
Yeah.
just go,
Electric
right.
State, Cherry.
Electric State was terrible, right? Cherry was, like, forgettable. But the only one I kind of like, and I think they just produced it. I can't remember who they directed it. The one with Chadwick Boseman, Bridges, 21 Bridges.
Oh,
Um,
I still didn't see that. I still haven't seen that,
Yeah, I don't know
Anyway,
if it's I don't know if any one of them directed. I forget, but I think it's that. I think that one thing they kind of tried to do. I think they produced it, to be honest. But that's about it. Like, yeah, I find the Russo's track record outside the MCU is rubbish, absolute garbage. Right. Meanwhile, they just get to move on and survive this. All the others who leaving, all the other directors who move on and leaving and getting to do the thing. I feel it's so bad for like the guy who do they get this guy who did who was supposed to do Blade and Blade get cancelled and now he did Shang-Chi. Like, that dude, like, he probably need to get out
oh
soon.
him,
Like,
right,
yeah,
and he's
yeah.
gonna be doing the Spider-Man Brand New Day. Yeah.
Hopefully, right. So, like, but
Destin. That's
yeah,
his name.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's a really good talented director, but like, again, kind of wasted his career. Like, a lot of people kind of in a bad space right now. The guy who did Thor 2, kind of trash. Again, he's a good director, so he did some really solid team stuff. I like Thor 2 was really bad though. Like, how come why that happened? Yeah, because that problem with the cracks are really showing the MCU and the problematic nature of it. They're really showing because she like gave two back-to-back bangers. Yeah, and it's like, wow, like, this shocking dude. Like, it really bad. Whatever.
Yeah. So,
I
so,
really like
so
this movie. Let
yeah.
us get into that.
All right. So premise wise, this literally takes place like just a short time after the events of the last film, and slight spoiler. Just
Right.
because they say 28 years later at the beginning, does that mean that 28 years pass between the last film and this one? It's just the
Right.
title. Just letting you all know,
Right.
it's just the title, right? So
Yeah,
let me just say
it's
a
just kind of,
few days
it's
pass,
28
right?
years later part two. Yeah, it's 28 years later part two. Yeah, a little bit of like about a week,
Exactly.
about a week past, and
Oh well,
it.
yeah. I'll just run through the synopsis
Yeah, go ahead.
quickly, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Without spoiling much. That's why I want to do it, right? Yeah. So we kind of stick with Spike, right? Who was the son of this guy who had led him on this hunting expedition, just learning how to survive in the mainland in the first half of the last film, and then helping his mom to go and see Dr. Ian Kelson, who's played by Ray Fiennes, right? And then you see what happened there, right? So yeah, he decided to just go out on his own. He just want to be a man, right? And then at the end of the film, he runs into the Fingers Gang, right? Who is led by Lord Jimmy Crystal, right? And I was
Right.
it only like a few hours ago before we met up here that I found out that the character, that Jimmy character, is
Yeah,
actually inspired by
Jimmy.
this radio
Yeah,
personality who
yeah, who's
passed
a big
away.
rapist.
Yeah, Jimmy Savile, who passed away
Jimmy
years
Savile, yeah.
ago in
Which
England.
is yeah, the thing, this movie was written way after we found out the truth about that dude, right? That dude was like, holy shit.
Yeah,
This is
like when you find out, boy, because
terrifying.
what happened in a nutshell is that after he died, and all the praise that he
Yes,
had
years
for his
later,
work and whatnot, yeah, you find out that the dude was a sex offender, and like a bunch
yeah,
of his victims
yeah,
came out and said, yeah, that guy that y'all love and whatnot, yeah, he did
yeah,
bad things, sis. And
yeah.
like I
Jimmy
didn't
Savile, yeah.
even know this, and like
So like,
I think like
what
the
I
show
thought,
itself knows that
but I think,
like non UK audiences won't pick up on what's going on,
no,
but
but I
yeah,
think,
UK people be like, shit. Wow.
That's the thing with that, right? That's the thing with that. Like, so the context of it is interesting because remember the virus didn't happen and the world crashed before that knowledge would have come out. So I don't know if the guy who is the leader of it would be like know the truth of that, but then he is implied to be like that anyway. That's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the whole undertone of the whole thing. That so we as in this quote unquote alternate reality, right? Like
Exactly.
know the context of it. But I like that. Like I thought that was sort of clever world building beat there.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right. Nobody in this world would know that Jimmy Savile was really like that now because like it was 2000 or whatever. The event happened 28 years ago. So
Exactly.
it's like interesting, like a real interesting like character beat a pill from it, calling about the same blood here.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
And it
terrifying and good right.
yeah, and it justifies the Teletubby stuff that was brought up
Right.
in the last
Exactly.
film. It's like they use the show itself to say, hey, this kid saw this and in his
Right,
own
the
warped
iconography
mind
of-
got inspired by this though.
Yeah,
So he is
yeah,
like,
exactly.
so that's what it is. So yeah.
Yeah, the iconography of it now, and they make it work. Like it's really like interesting, smart world building when they want to think about it from that point of view going forward.
Right. So let's move it quickly with the synopsis, right? So yeah, Jimmy Crystal is a sadistic motherfucker. He is like up there with Negan. And yes, while I was watching, I was thinking Negan season 7, episode 1. There's even a season 7, episode 1 moment, like a torture scene, right? Thankfully, the show itself, and much props to Nia and of course Alex for writing this, right? The show does not like delve into the gratuitous, like show you all the details of what went down. They know when to pull back. You hear the noises, you know what happened, you see the outcome of it, it's there, it's graphic, it's gross, but it's not about stopping to show you characters being tortured second by second. So I admire the show for that, right? At least there was some restraint there, right? But yeah, Spike is caught up with these guys. He's pretty much trapped there, and he just looking for a way out, right? In the meantime, now we go back to Ian Kelson, who is still kind of just doing these like low-key experimentations with the Alpha character who was introducing last film. Yeah, he's that tall, muscular guy who literally rips heads off, like do this like straight out of a Mortal Kombat game, just ripping heads off. He's seen spines and shit, right? But yeah, he finds a little headway in terms of humanizing the character. I love what they do with the Alpha and how he becomes more human. I really, really love that, right? But yeah, it just ultimately leads to the confrontation between Jimmy and Ian in the Bone Temple, which is basically this ossuary which Ian created. So he just took all the bones and skulls that he found of people who died, due to they just died, not just through the rage virus, but just died in general. And just build these things as a memorial, right? It's beautiful, but very, very, very morbid at the same time. But it's one of those things that when you see it, even the first film, you just can't keep your eyes off it. Like, it's just so amazing though, but it's just so bizarre at the same time, right? And yeah, and this last point I'll make before we get to your thoughts, right? And yeah, basically we just have a good old-fashioned religion versus science confrontation, right? Kind of, right? Where you just have this guy who...
I would say religion versus science so much because it is, but it's a conceit of like religion versus the mystical versus the material.
Right.
That's what I just think of. Because you have a guy who just think this is how the world should be, and it don't matter how we think about it or whatever it is, and then the other guy is like, no, we should cater to the, for lack of a better word, the transcendent, right?
Right. Well, that's what I mean. It's not really about them with their ideals. It's just about how both characters see the world, right? Jimmy, who is this warped, and he and all have this warped version of Satanism. So yeah, he walk around with a inverse cross, and saying about how old Nicky, right? He worship old Nicky, right? The devil, right? And yeah, he just pretty much bully these other kids to follow every word that he says. So yeah, they are brutal just like him. They kill people with no hesitation, right? But at the same time, now he's butting heads now with Ian, who is still mad, but like in a real quiet, real, Colonel Kurtz kind of way. But, he trying to make sense out of the insanity that he has to live with on a day-to-day basis. And you really see that with his relationship with that Alpha character. And I'll stop there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Ricardo.
I thought this was excellent.
I loved it too.
I thought this was really, really good. It's very, very Conan the Barbarian, esque in terms of its conceit and what trying to do.
Dude. As I say, Conan the Barbarian, right?
Yeah.
This is just a slight spoiler. The last lines that Jimmy says is very similar to what a character says in that movie,
Yeah,
asking for help and not getting that help, but is the context of it though. But you hit the nail on the head. That was very cool in the Barbarian in Spider. And
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
set piece where it takes place is
Right.
legit from a scene from Conan the Barbarian dog.
Yep.
And where that
Right.
line was
I got it.
delivered is like, holy shit, how you figure out that,
Yeah.
Ricardo? I didn't even pick up on that.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
real dread. That real dread.
Yeah, no, no, straight up, that is where I pulled from because, like, yeah, the world crashed. It have no order anymore. It have no society, civilization. Where you how you gonna handle that situation? And yeah, you gonna have that different. That is the general different conceits of how people should order in the world, at least according to the Western canon of things, right? But yeah, I just thought this was really. I did not expect to enjoy this as much as I did, especially with the first one. I didn't love the first part of this, so I was like, yeah, a sequel probably gonna be crappy. But I was like, all right, Nia, the costs are coming in. Let me see what she's gonna do. I'm surprised she get. I'm actually surprised she was even tied to the franchise. Like I didn't think that she would have been tightened. But I was like, all right, let me see what she's gonna do. And yeah, again, she direct the hell out of this movie because they just great visuals, great camera work and movements. Um, Ray finds like what to do with him and where they go with him and the whole kind of mad priest kind of thing, right? He's very okay. A character, one of my favorite characters from Half Life. I love Father Gregory. That's what he reminds me of. Like it's just he crazy as hell, but he's still like he had on in terms of like the overall fight, like the grander fight of fighting against the nihilism of the world or whatever you want to call it, right? As the breakdown of order, the true order, right? Is it still and they make it work? And then him with the alphas, like the alpha logic, I still don't really understand the logic of that per se, but like whatever, it's fine. The Ridge Bias is BS anyway. But the whole thing was really, really working for me. And then the main character himself wasn't wowing me in this one. Like I felt I get what he was going for. Like he had a
Or
solid arc
Spike,
last time.
him being in
Yeah,
the sidelines. Yeah, that
right.
that that you could argue that they could have given him more to do, but
You,
given
you should have been
given
a
what
lot
the
more
show
central.
was really about, is like I
Right.
I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's more like fighting over him. Like is the soul. He's the soul of England or whatever you want to call it, right? Soul of civilization. So I get that there's the grander forces or these characters representing grander forces, fighting over him now, and what which character represent and what not and why it work. And yeah, I don't know. I just dug the hell out of this for what it was. Like it's a great piece of world building and good conceit. And then the ended, certain face show up. I'm like, all right, well, good. Like, all right, so he is still. I'm like,
I,
all right,
I
all
I
right,
know, right? I was so
yeah,
surprised to see that. That's
yeah,
that's
yeah,
all
yeah.
the spoilers we'll give, right? Him, right? Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this still this he's still relevant. The storyline. I didn't think that would be a thing. Like how? And I thought in my head, I thought a certain thing happened to him in the back of my head because I got not super familiar with the world. Like, oh, okay, well, so this is what's going on then. All right, fine. And then like, yeah, we could get like another. I would like to see at least one more movie from this to tell another story and wrap up this part of the world building of the 28 time franchise or whatever you want to call this, right? 28 zombies later, or whatever, right? I really dug this. I thought I didn't expect to enjoy this as much. This might make this will more likely make an honorable mention for the year. I don't know about best of the year. It's no January, no start. But this was like I didn't expect this to be as good as it was. Really, really solid outing. Just great world building and telling a great story. I get that they had to tell the first part of this and tell this, but here's a hot take. This should have been the 28 years later movie, like instead of what we got. But
You,
like
you
it's
know,
fine.
I was thinking about that too, though. But like, I just thinking this is from Danny and Alex's partner. Like, okay, we
Right,
really want to, because the first one, like it or not, is more about the world building. It's about taking
right.
us into this world, especially with the occult horror angle that this franchise is leaning towards now. I feel like that's why that show was what it was. But yeah, in the back of my mind, I was telling myself, what if both movies were like one film, though, like 1 2.5 hour
Right.
movie or something?
In my head, in my head, a version of this how it would work is that you just tell that origin like in like a 15 minutes or whatever it is, and then get to this part or whatever it is. But it's fine. Like it's still set. Yeah, you kind of needed to set this up anyway, and I don't think a lot of it would have worked anyway as it is. So it's fine. But like I find that film, I didn't love that film at all. Okay, like it was just so slow and it felt plodding and wasn't engaging to me as it was. And at the end, it was so weird. But like they finally paid that off and give us more world building later. And it's like, all right, well, this real work too. I don't know. I really dug the hell out of this. This was excellent.
All right, well, let me start my review by saying that this is the first great movie of 2026. And it's a horror film. and it came out in January, right? I mean, look at that, right? Yeah, so I do see this showing up in my best of. Not top 10 at the moment though. Like unless I just watch this film at least one more time, and I just absolutely love the hell out of it, then it will be a top 10. But for me, I can just see this within the whole 11 to 15 round because I know we're gonna get like a ton of great movies this year, right? But yeah, I was surprised at how great it was. Like I was hearing, like it was getting like great reviews and scores. I was like, okay, all right, we'll see. I saw the last film, the day before. I was like, all right, I understand why people don't like it, but I understand why people loved it. Some people put it in the best of. I was like, all right, I see, I can understand why, honestly, right? But there was a criticism towards that last one, right? But yeah, this one actually like lived up to the hype, though. Being like it was just so well thought out, though, so well executed, right? And let me just start off with Nia DaCosta, though. Yeah, she killed it, though, on the directorial front. Just visual storytelling, though. She just did that so well, right? I love that she was pulling a bit from what Danny was doing, the experimental stuff. I would say more. It's all right. So just thinking back to Danny's previous films, like whether it's Train Spotting or 20 Days Later or 127 Hours, right? He always have this way of trying to find a way to add a little bit of style to his work. So that's why, like, for example, in 28 Years Later, you had this sort of 45-degree angle when it came to, like, when zombies get killed. It's like an arrow will go through, and the camera will just, the shot will freeze now, and it will just tilt to, like, a 45-degree angle, and you just see blood splatter, and then it just resumes. I was like, all right, this kind of cool. You know what I mean? I did like the use of music and the old films. I was like, all right, this kind of cool. But I just wish it just gelled together well. It just felt like a little too much style over substance, right? Just him trying to be all stylish, but it should work towards the storytelling, the visual storytelling that is, right. But I felt like with Nia, there's less of that, right. She kept things standard, right, but still she just put so much thought into just what we're seeing here, right? And it was great, just what she did, just visually, right? Alex Garland, in terms of the story, yeah, what I mean? Just building off the last film, I thought that he did a great job here. And it's the point that, yes, you have to see the first film to understand what's going on, right? But it still kind of functions on its own, as its own, like, as its own story being told. You know what I mean? So I really dug what he did there, right? Also the ending. That's all. I don't want to say what happens there, right? But yeah, its relation to the first film, I absolutely love. And when it ends, I was like, yes, bring it on. I am ready, right? Now, yes, there is another film coming up, right? And from what I hear, this could just be a trilogy. This whole 20 Years Later thing is going to be a trilogy, right? Now, with the whole Alpha character, I was thinking that this is basically the Day of the Dead of the 20
Right.
Days Later franchise, where it's like, okay, the world is in shit now, we're in hell right now, and now we just need to see how bad humans are compared to the zombies. So now we have this one zombie, I think in the Day of the Dead, I haven't seen it in a little while, Bob, I think that's what his name is, right? Bob the Zombie, I think that's his name. That is what the Alpha is, where it's like this animalistic zombie who is suddenly humanized throughout the course of the film, to the point that the humans look like animals compared to him, right? And what they did with the Alpha, I really like, though. There's one moment where he's seeing something. I like, well, how it's framed there, like what he does afterwards happened, right? But I like how it starts off with him sort of wondering, hey, is this real? Is this a memory? And all that kind of stuff, right? I just love how it slowly builds with that, right? And then that relationship with him and Ian, and how they have that sort of bond together, right? Even though is this mad doctor who rubs this chemical on the skin. That's why he have the orange look and whatnot, right? To avoid getting the rage virus on him, right? It's just those little things, right? Is that sort of Colonel Kurt's Marlon Brando kind of character, right? He weird, but he crazy, but there's a working logic to it all. It's just like, yeah, I'm mad, but look at everybody else around me, right? And that's why I love, Jack, the character, well, I say love, right? The character of Jack Crystal, right? Sorry, of Jimmy Crystal, right? Played excellently by Jack O'Connell, right? Because I mean, the man came off a Sinner's shit, right? And look at how great he was in
Right.
that film, right? But here he just kind of tops himself there, right? Showing a
Yeah.
character so detestable, but at the same time, there's a working logic to what he does, and yes, it is bullshit. It's straight up bullshit. The scene from the very beginning, I love that even his own fingermen, if you will, call him out. Well, they talk about this, like, yeah, it's all bullshit, right? Yeah, he just enjoy killing people. It's like, yes, I'm doing Satan's plan, but no, you just on
Right.
shit. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, just like Ian, is all about survival. It's how they survive in this world and how they view the world, right? So I love like when they come together, how those clashing ideals, how these ideals clash, right? That third act, all I'll say, even though I am not familiar with the song, the context of the song and the
Right. That's all
performance
harder.
that Ralph
Yeah.
does there, boy, that was so
Yeah. That's hard.
fucking
Yeah. That's hard.
badass, though. I was like,
Yeah.
dog, this is so bad. And the visuals, I was like, dog. Like Ray Fiennes. Ray Fiennes is the OG. He's the
Yeah.
all-star in all of this, though. This man really, really show up. He do what he had to do, right? And how that plays out to the very end totally works for me, right? Now I could see some people saying, but this is not a zombie movie. This is more of like, I don't know, mad characters in a zombie world, right? So yeah, it's like Walking Dead. That's what it is, right? But even with the first film, it wasn't really so much about zombies, it was just about characters trying to survive. That's what I loved about 20 Days Later. It was just about, yeah, is a slice of life perspective on that genre, right? That I felt we have not seen since then, right? I know The Walking Dead pretty much like played that out to death, right? But yeah,
Right.
it started off with 20 Days Later, right? So what I will give credit for these two 20 Days Later films, right, is that yeah, Danny and Alex and even Nia find ways to make the genre fresh, to give fresh perspectives on it, right? So in this case, even though we've seen this before, it's just really about, yeah, characters who are mad, who are just trying desperately to make sense out of it, right? Yes, we could have got more of Spike in this, but I would say, given where he is in, like physically where he's at, there was little that he could have done anyway, right? But how he's using the very end, how he's using the end though, I was like, yeah, that make perfect sense. That make perfect sense, right? And where his character is left, yeah, makes sense as well, right? And how it ties back to the last one, right? But yeah, at the end of the day, because I don't want to spoil too much, right? Brilliantly written, brilliantly directed, brilliantly acted, especially those two leads though, Jack O'Connell and Ray Fiennes though. This is their film, and I can't say that one man really outact each other, but I would say Ray Fiennes is the better character because yeah, he is the more likable of the two, right? More likable of the two. While yeah, I mean Jimmy is just this detestable, spiteful motherfucker, but that's who he is, right?
Right.
But again, he is called out for his bullshit. I like that throughout the film he's called out for it as well, too, right? But yeah, as a wrap up here, it's just what I found out about what the Jimmy character was about and how it relates to that guy. Yeah, I mean, people who not in the know will not pick up on it, right? But I'm really curious to see how British viewers see his portrayal in this film, right? This Jimmy character. I have not seen after watch Mark Hammoud's character review of it, right? But I would not be
Okay.
surprised if you will point out that whole Jimmy thing quickly. That just only knows like, yeah, I know who he is just off the blonde hair and the the whole Teletubbies thing. I get like, yeah.
The context of it is workable and interesting. That's what I liked about it. Because again, they wouldn't have known that about him at the time, so he would just think he's entirely a good guy, but him being corrupted and this character being well corrupted in his own way. That's why it works now. It's so weird because how much time passed now. It's almost 30 years. That's why we make it interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, like I said, this is the first great film of 2026, and I will
Yeah.
not be surprised if by year's end, people will continue to sing its praises, right? This is one of the best horrors I've seen this is the only horror I've seen this year, right? But it's one of the best so far, right? And I hope that we get more, as the year goes on, right? But yeah, Jack O'Connell, though, that guy has a future because this man is
Yeah.
in two great horror films now, so yeah, sky's the limit for him, right? And I'm not really familiar with his work, right? For me, my introduction to him came in Sinners, right? But yeah, this guy
Right.
acted the shit out of this, right? Ray Fiennes, I mean, OG all star. This man did his damn thing. Love the character, whatnot, right? And with the alpha and how they explore that character, I thought was very, very well done as well, right? But yeah, this whole occult horror perspective on the zombie film genre, I absolutely love. Do I think that it is a smart call, right? But I'll close this, right? It really feels like, because and it makes sense because the characters are in the woods, right, in the forest now. Yeah, it's Danny and Alex leaning towards folk horror now, like I say, occult horror, right? And it makes sense for the story that's being told, right, where the world has gone so far back, right, that yeah, characters are thinking from a very dark, a very guttural, a very primal, a very medieval perspective, right? That's why, even though it's very unsettling, that whole torture scene involving Jimmy, yeah, feels like something that some, I don't know, medieval characters would do, right? It really feels like that, right?
Yeah, they want to have a breakdown of society, have these natural fiefdoms. Just
Exactly,
pop up.
yeah.
You see the local psychopath,
Yeah.
effectively.
So there's thought to this show, it's not just horror and blood and guts for the sake of it, right? Even though there are horrific moments and there are moments of blood and guts and some surprising kills. And no lie, this last point I make, one moment that legit make me jump. I was like, oh shit, I did not see that one coming. All I'll say, it involves Spike. That's all I'll say without spoiling anything. But that legit make me jump, right? So even in a show that is not about the zombies, it still gave me, the scares and the chills, right? But that's just in terms of the story and just this hellish world that is being portrayed in it, right? But yeah, 28 years later, the Bone Temple is a real deal. For now, at the moment, I'm gonna give this a strong 4 out of 5. But I have a feeling that with the more views that I give this, because I want to give this, because it came out so early in the year, right? I want to give this like at least one more, like 1 to 2 more viewings, right? Because compared to Sinners, which I only watched twice, right, that is only the second viewing that I love the film, right?
Right.
But I want to view this film like about 2 more times, and then at the year's end, I can put it in my top 10, right? But that's not to say if it shows up in my top 10 or not. That's not to say that this show isn't great, right? Because to me, I think it is, right? Nia really, really showcase her skills here, and I want to see her make more great films in the future, right? And I feel this last point I'll make, right? I feel thanks to this, I'll probably go back to Candyman. I'll be like, you know what? Candyman was actually pretty good though, because I remember I
Oh
was
yeah,
not really blown away by it.
Candyman.
Well,
Right.
this quick point about Candyman. I just felt it was just a lot of like horror, subgenres squeezed into this one film. That's the problem. It was psychological horror, it was body horror, it was this, it was that, it was societal horror, and it was all like put in a blender, and I just felt like it didn't really like coalesce that well. But I feel if I rewatch that show though, I'll be like, oh, okay. I guess I was too hard on that film, right? But yeah, I want to see more great films from Nia. Actually, I actually will check out Heather. Thanks to this film and how you praise that film, right? But yeah,
Oh yeah,
the Bone Temple is great. Definitely see this on the big screen. Definitely see this on
yeah.
the
In
big
fact, in
screen.
fact, yeah. In fact, Heather's so good at that. Like that is like the working like relationship they should have now. Nia DaCosta and Tessa Thompson. They should like just do more movies together from now on. Um,
All right, okay. It was that good.
right? Like
Okay, wow.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It really hold itself.
Yeah, but yeah, strong 4 to 5. Definitely one of the year's best films, right? But I know that over time and with more viewings, yeah, I could bump this up to a 4.5, easy, man. But yeah, definitely check this out on big screen if you get the chance. And if you decide to wait till it comes to digital, yes, definitely check it out. But please watch the previous film, and if you can, watch the previous 20 Days Later films, because yeah, you will enjoy. I know for sure you'll enjoy the Bone Temple way more if you recap the previous films, right? Yeah, Ricardo, your final thoughts are rated.
Yeah, yeah. This was a solid outing for me. I went in not thinking it would have been as good as it was. Um, it's like all right, well, about going for near the cost of thing. But I was like kind of checked out on the franchise in that sense, and what the direction they took was really really intelligent and smart. Like it's like okay, this is where you have to go with this to separate yourself from the plus 20 years of the plus 28, literally, yeah, 28 years, 30 years of the zombie genre, the whole post-apocalyptic zombie genre, what to do with it, where you're going to go with it, where you're going to add to it or do something interesting with it. And the last film didn't do that, but this film did that. Right, this is the film. This is what it should have been. And yeah, genuinely engaging and weird. Ray Fiennes held it. He's excellent in this, and yeah, I didn't expect to thoroughly enjoy this. Rating, yeah, give this a solid 8 out of 10, closer to a 9 to be honest. I really enjoyed this.
All right. Well, I don't know if you mentioned this in your review, right? In your praise of it, but yeah, just to wrap things up. Yeah. Thoughts on Jack O'Connell and where you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
his
yeah. He
career
was like,
going from here.
yeah. Like I was thinking, I was already thinking I am super often in this. It's like, oh yeah, right. This dude from Sinners, like it's fine. He's a solid out and what's it? But he didn't blow me away in this or anything. Like that. It just really refines. I kind of stole the show, to be honest. Over him, my humble opinion at least. But yeah, but that's about it. Yeah.